But Nottingham's triple killer, Valdo Calocane's sentence will go to the Court of Appeal.
Yes, the Attorney-General, Victoria Prentice, says his sentencing of a hospital order for manslaughter and attempted murder was unduly lenient.
The families of those killed, Barnaby Webber, Grace O'Malley Kumar and school caretaker Ian Coates, have welcomed the decision.
Well, we can now speak with former Scotland Yard Detective Peter Bleksley, whose son was actually in the same nightclub as Grace and Barnaby that night. Peter, my instant reaction is this is a good thing. It did seem unduly lenient. The families of the victims were very clear that they thought it was too.
Yes, and I echo your words entirely. I'm in absolute agreement. Although, as a former detective, I'm deeply concerned about the pleas that were accepted to manslaughter on diminished responsibility. And I know that certain members of the families, of course, have gone public with their concerns about that. And what I would like to know is whether the investigation into these horrific, utterly unjustified and dreadful murders of Barney, Grace and Ian, whether that investigation delved into any potential drug taking that may exist in Calocane's history. I don't know whether there was or whether there wasn't, but that investigation should have investigated that possibility because, say, for example, there was some evidence that came forward of regular drug taking that could be used as an argument for saying his illness may be self-inflicted to some degree, therefore he has no right to plead guilty to manslaughter via diminished responsibility because he's played a part in his own downfall. I hope any such investigation is still ongoing.
There was some commentary, Peter, at the time that said that perhaps this was the most sincere punishment that could have been handed down, that this sentence was more severe, perhaps, than had there been a murder verdict that had an end date where he could have been out after a certain number of years. My understanding is that the idea of going to a secure hospital rather than a prison, he could be there indefinitely, and that might be safer for the public.
There are so many aggravating factors in this case that had Calocane been found guilty or pleaded guilty to murder, and when I say those aggravating factors, the preparation, the taking of weapons, the stealing of Ian's vehicle, the attempted murder of 3 other people, let's remember, Calocane pleaded guilty to the attempted murder of 3 other victims that he created that day, then I am entirely confident that any sentencing judge would have sentenced him to a whole life order and not a determinate sentence with a potential end date or a date when he could have been eligible for parole. I think it's utterly unsatisfactory. I share the family's deep, deep concerns about all of this. And of course, their hurt and upset was only added to by the news breaking yesterday about inappropriate messages sent by police officers. All in all, a very unsatisfactory set of circumstances.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Peter Bleksley, former Scotland Yard detective.